I don't know how to intro this podcast anymore. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. What is the name of this podcast now? Welcome, everyone, to our brand new season of Superback. I just bit my fucking lip. I bit it so hard. Welcome, everyone, to a new season of Super Black. We are your host, Carl.
And I'm Dan.
And today we are going to be introducing our new podcast format, more of a book club. And our topic today is Volume 1 of the graphic novel Vagrant Queen. It's going to be a SyFy TV show launching on March 27th. So we figured it'd be a nice little cross promote. I'm pulling back the layers. Who cares? So Dan and I read through a good majority of Volume 1 in the time that we had. We're gonna kick it off. So first, Dan, my good man, my buddy, how did you feel overall about your experience with Vagrant Queen?
It was, and I hate to be that person to kind of shit on something, but I wasn't interested enough to keep reading page to page to page. If I didn't have to read it, I wouldn't have.
We are kicking it off hot. Dan has hot takes. Hot takes with Dan.
With that being said, I understand why this was picked up for SyFy, because bare bones, this has the makings of a good sci-fi space opera. Mm-hmm. And guaranteed, I can only imagine how, it's like SyFy could have just taken the name and taken the main characters and went their own route with it and have it be a little more, because this wasn't fun. It wasn't a fun read.
Mm-hmm. I agree with your hot take. I was not super enthralled by the story, but I do see how SyFy can make it its own. And given the trailer for Vagrant Queen, I think they did do a bit more with the concept, but what I read was not gripping me like other stories have before it, which, I mean, not every story is going to resonate with you. But just to give people some context in case you weren't able to read the story or you're kind of coming in a little cold, here's the description. Former child queen Alita was driven from her throne at age 10 and forced to wander the galaxy, evading the revolutionary forces that wanted her dead. When an old frenemy claims to know the whereabouts of Alita's long-lost mother, she is forced to return to her former kingdom and stage a rescue. So, the main story point is that our protagonist, Alita, is looking for her mom, who was left behind after there was like a revolution against her. Alita was the queen, a young child queen, and she was kind of jettisoned in a space pod after her and her mother were attacked, and now she's looking for her mom. Dan, as an artist and storyteller yourself, how did you like kind of reading through this book?
And this is once again with disclaimer, like, I don't necessarily want to knock on other artists because this is a finished, complete comic book. Like, these people came together, made a choice to do this book, and they followed all the way through. Like, there's probably so many great ideas out there that never get finished. So, I mean, kudos for them for doing this. But at the same time, from an artist's point of view, there were a lot of things a lot of pages that just seemed very haphazardly put together. Mm-hmm. That turned me off. Like, I part of the reason I wanted to stop reading sometimes is because the art just threw me off so much. Like, no, this isn't even worth it to me. Mm-hmm. And I want to believe that the artists will grow in time and the inkers will grow in time. But there are a lot of lazy things that happen in terms of just proportions. One of the title pages, we have one of the main characters shooting a pistol, and it's obvious that his arms are way too short for his body, and it felt like the artist just crammed everything together. There's another page, like the one of the first main pages, where you see your first human hand, and this is drawn very badly, and it's a very simple pose too. And then say, and this will change with time because I want to believe that he's relatively new to doing this type of format. The storytelling was confusing from panel to panel sometimes. Like I wasn't too sure what he was trying to do. I understand the saving grace was the writer was very good at telling the action as opposed to the illustrator showing the action. So when you got to the end of those pages, like, oh, okay, I know what's going on, but it's definitely not being portrayed in the art part of things.
Yeah, I had that issue too. Like from panel to panel, I was a little confused as to what was going on, especially in some of the action scenes. I couldn't really follow what was happening just from an action standpoint. Like in my mind, I was trying to put the fight together, and I was like, how do we get to this end from what you've shown me? Some panels are better than others. Like for the most part, I was not engaged by the art as going from page to page. I feel like the beginning of the book, the beginning of volume 1, I was more interested. And yes. I suppose it was because, it was the first, the intro panels that they were giving for this book, and they were, putting their all into it. As the book went on, it felt like it started to lose a little steam as to where not only
going.
Yeah, where the story was going, and also how it was being portrayed from panel to panel, like we said. I started to lose the thread. I'm going to get a T-shirt that says "lose the thread." I say that a lot.
There was an instance in the storytelling where they were trying to break into secured space, and the whole plot was very much like a video game where they had bombs and needed to place bombs in certain places in order to blow up the station that's controlling the force field that's keeping everybody out. If it wasn't for the writer having to tell you what was going on and what needed to be done, I couldn't tell you what this guy was doing with the bombs. Right? The way the page, and it's like I know I'm like saying this out loud. It's very hard for anybody to really follow along, but imagine how I feel as an artist. Try to say, hey, I'm not seeing any bombs being planted. I'm seeing a staircase on each level, but I'm not seeing any bombs being planted. And next thing you know, it's blowing up.
I know exactly the moment you're talking about. I was lost there too.
Yeah, I had to go back a few times and keep rereading to make sure. It's like, am I missing something? Am I reading too quickly? But no. And that's part of the reason why I slowed down. It's like, okay, this could have been done better.
Yeah, it goes to something that I normally think about while reading comics is how much exposition is being typed versus shown. To your point, it was like, you need to show us how he's planting these bombs and how this is going to be an effective plan while she's fighting all these guards and straight up murdering people. And there's like six of them, and none of them shoot her, but she's just like cracking heads and shooting people in the face, and like she's the ultimate badass. Let's get that out of the way.
That's another problem that I had. I think within the first couple of pages, she offs 2 security guards that were just unexpected. Like they were just standing in front of an elevator, and without any banter or dialogue or real need to actually kill them, she blows their heads off. Like, who is this character? Like, do you actually want to like this character?
Yeah, she's a lot.
Yes.
She just kind of murders everybody.
She Han Solo'd, like as soon as I read that, I was like, she's Han Solo those guards. Like there's no real need for that to happen. At one point, I had to just understand that the story that the artist is trying to tell on the page isn't matching up to what the writer was intending to happen. So certain things are just being left out. And the storytelling in terms of the character, like writing, like I didn't understand the main character at all. Alita, I didn't understand her at all because she had her Han Solo moment in the very beginning where she shot first. And I wasn't too sure what the writer was trying to tell us about that character. Is that character a cold-blooded murderer, or is she a psychopath? Because it didn't feel like she was fleeing for her life. She could have found another way to get in there. She's coming off as, I will blow your head off at any single turn. And
very brash.
Yeah, very brash.
Yeah. I agree. I didn't understand her motivation. Like, she's on the run, no? She's hiding from this revolution, murdering people is going to bring a lot of eyes to you, especially in public places where you're killing like bodyguards and whatever. That's not the most stealthy way to get around. And I suppose she's been roaming the galaxy for however many years now, and she's been okay. And that's probably not the first time she's murdered a bunch of people, which then leads me to believe that the people looking for her don't really want to find her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not going to like every comic you read,
Of course.
but I don't know. It was a little hard to kind of get through it. The world that they were building has some potential in it. And I like the idea, like the base idea of the book, which is, a young child queen gets, deposed, and then she has to roam the galaxy alone, and she becomes this kind of badass mercenary who, is just kind of trying to stay one step ahead of the people who are trying to essentially kill her.
One step.
Don't sing. And, so my question, does her race as a black woman come into play during the book or during the portions that you read?
Not wrong. No, it's like not like she just happened to be brown, and sometimes that's a good thing. Like you're just a character living in a world, you just happen to have brown skin. And in the science fiction world, unless you create that world preceding her, it doesn't make any sense that she'd be living the black experience in the far-flung future in outer space where you have aliens and robots and so on and so forth. Like, there's bigger things to worry about. So that much I do understand and I do respect. That wasn't an issue. The color of her skin was an issue.
Yeah. She is a queen. She's a black queen. She was overthrown. That's an issue. But I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that she was black. At least not in the portions that I read. If people read, the chunk that we didn't get through and they actually do address that, you please feel free to start the conversation with us. But from what we read, she was just a mercenary, which is, like you said, really good that it wasn't an issue. It just is what it is, which is always nice. You're just a person and your skin just happens to be brown. Her being black is probably the least surprising thing in the book. Yeah. Her actions are way more surprising than the color of her skin.
Yeah, the blatant, like, I feel like I'm watching an 80s action movie where the kill count just becomes higher and higher, and nobody's killing the good guys. She's killing everybody.
Yeah. She's getting away with literal murder.
Yeah.
Getting away with murder. She does it multiple times. The guy, Isaac Stelling, I was not a fan of his character. I don't particularly like people who just coast through life, especially in a book, especially at that high level. It's rough to read because you can watch it in everyday life and you're like, all these hardworking people kind of taking a hit for whatever reason, but then there's someone who's just kind of floating through life. That's that guy. Now his backstory, and we spoke about this a little bit off air, is a little confusing because he says he's from Earth, but then he doesn't know how to get back to Earth, and then everyone he speaks to says that Earth is like a myth or that it doesn't exist. So,
but he has his entire family from Earth, which is weird. Like, he knows it existed.
How did he get to where he is and not know how to get back to Earth, or even tell people relatively where it is in the galaxy? I didn't follow that portion, and it could be you could just chalk it up to us just kind of skipping over things in the storytelling, but it was a very strange, and it was an interesting plot point that wasn't explored as much as it should have been. Because Mystery Earth is cool.
Yeah, and his personality didn't seem to match that he was longing to go home. Because he just seemed like he was drifting through life and just hoping things happen to him. Like, he didn't seem forlorn. He mentioned he misses his wife, but it doesn't seem like he misses his wife.
And he's very careless with his actions. And, like, you could die by doing these things, like the bomb run that we talked about, or the fact that he's, like, joining forces with the revolutionaries to bring the Kid Queen back so that she can get killed. It's like there's so many things he does in service to, like he says, in service to get back to his wife, but that also put him in a place where he could just die and never get back there.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you can read it as like, I'll do anything to get my family. I can understand that. But there is another level when you say that you want to get back to a family that people don't believe you have, one, and people don't believe that where they are exists, two. So you have to work not only doubly hard to convince people that this is a real thing, but that also you have to take less risks so that you can actually get it done. And he doesn't do that. And maybe that was supposed to be endearing, but it's not.
Yeah, and at the same time, space is a very, very huge place.
Big.
Where do you even start?
Yeah, like how do you? That's what I'm saying. It's like where did he come from, and how did he get to where he is without some sort of trail? Or
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another read before this comes out and just kind of do a follow up, because I feel like you said, I feel like we missed a lot, but we read every page. Not every page. We read all the pages we did.
But it was enough to have us say, there's a lot of questions. Like, sci-fi, you either dive headfirst into the technology, into the world, and build that world up as alongside building your character up, or you create this MacGuffin that makes this whole world work. There was not enough world building to keep me interested for long enough to keep moving forward without like, oh, the art is... There's a lot of things that threw me off. So I love to see the story Bible, to see where the writer intends to take things, and I would understand more why the sci-fi show exists. I'd also love to see what changes in between, but from the translation from the idea in her head or the idea in the group's head to what I'm seeing on the page, it feels like there's a lot more that needs to be fleshed out.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put us both on the spot, as we like to do. Let's say we had the final kind of pitch meeting, like we had to go in with the group, the writers, the illustrators. You and I are in the room. What would you pitch? What's one thing you would pitch to them to kind of help improve the book and how you see it?
It's like there was a part where you could tell they were trying to introduce her backstory as they're telling the main story. I felt as if they should have spent more time and energy building her backstory first before introducing her as this psychopathic badass. So that way you at least feel for her and you understand more why she's doing what she's doing, why she's so able to blow people's heads off without thinking twice about it.
Yeah, almost like the Batman Begins kind of training montage where you see where she learned to handle a gun and punch noses off and all that stuff.
Was there, so besides losing a mother, are there other traumas that have led to her being like, fuck it, I will just kill you without even thinking twice about it, without even trying to spare any sentient life? I will just kill you at a drop of a dime because it's me or you. Like, I want to see more moments that built that psyche to get to that point. And I want to be able to feel for the characters. I wasn't able to feel for them. I was like, I didn't feel that their wants were... It's not that they weren't strong enough. I understand what they were, but building as a character, like their conversations and their interactions, it didn't feel like they really wanted what they wanted. And it just so happened, like, I can't remember his name. Isaac. When Isaac came into your mother's alive, like, oh my God, like that would have been a good time to tell that entire backstory.
Yeah, take a break and go backwards.
Yeah, you're in a perfect storytelling format that you can break from the main story and tell your own backstory and build things up. And you can take those tangents and visit the lives of these other people and make you actually care about them and care about the world. And I think I just wasn't there. There's potential, and the makers of SyFy knew that. And I love to see what their end product is. There's definitely potential, but I think it wasn't explored enough here. And was there at any point when you read in the book that there were any real stakes? Like you felt like these characters were going to lose or someone's going to lose?
Not particularly. there wasn't a whole lot for them to lose to begin with. Like she didn't have anything besides, like she was a mercenary, so she could drop everything at the drop of a hat and just kind of go off and do whatever they're going to do.
Exactly.
So there was nothing really like if she had gotten her mother, or if her and her mother were on the run together, and then her mother was captured and like going to be executed, then their stakes is she might lose her mom, like kind of Game of Thrones-y. Spoilers for Game of Thrones. When they kill Ned Stark, no one really saw that coming. Those were the stakes. You were like, oh no, they actually got Ned. We really like Ned, and now they're gone. If we were to meet the mom, like the mom, see her as a mother figure, and then have her get executed, that's stakes. And then she's lost something, which then motivates her to, do whatever it is she's going to do, go on her vengeful quest. But kicking off the story where she's literally just by herself doing jobs, she's totally fine. And the fact that he comes back is like, your mom might be alive. Like, okay, we're going to go on a journey to find her, but the stakes are low because she thought she was dead already. So if she doesn't find her, then she's back to square one, which was fine for her at that point. There was no real loss because she thought her mom was dead already.
And that's the same fact. Yeah, it's like we've touched upon before. Like, introduce the mother and let us care about the mother first to make it make it understandable why she dropped everything she's doing and go find her mother.
Moms are people. A good person is someone that you like. Just because it's your mother doesn't mean that you like her. That's not to say that she shouldn't like her mom, but we don't like her mom as the audience because the snippets that we do see of her mom, she's a mom, but we don't get enough of her to say, oh, she really should go find her.
It's like let's give an example. Like, let's bring it back to go back to Guardians of the Galaxy. In the first few minutes, you're introduced to Star-Lord. You're introduced to his mom. She's dying, so you feel for the character. But at the same time, you understand that she's well-liked because there's so many people around her deathbed that are there with her, right? Yeah. So, like, without telling you, they're showing you, hey, this woman is worth caring about.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, exactly. There's no emotional tie to the audience. And all emotional ties that the main character has, we aren't really privy to. I don't know. We kind of keep saying the same thing, but yeah, I think a stronger emotional tether to the mom or to something, would help push the story forward a little more. As I was reading, and the more we speak, I'm really understanding. Like, I didn't care about her journey because she was fine.
Yeah,
like Isaac didn't rescue her from anything. She was shown to be super capable at the end, at the beginning. So I'm not worried about her safety, and she looks to be okay. So that there's nothing at stake. So if we're sitting in that room, I would advise that maybe pull the mom out a little bit more.
Like simply just make us care about her.
Mm-hmm. Care about something.
Yeah. Yes.
Instead of giving us Isaac, who I really don't care about. Yeah, just could not stand that dude. Except he used the word dingus, which I think is pretty funny. But yeah, I think that's where I would go. Is anything else you want to cover on Vagrant Queen before we wrap this up? Are you excited for the show?
I'm excited for the show because I'm a fan of science fiction wherever it comes from. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see what they can do with this, and I'm along for the ride. Like we said before, there are traces of there are really good elements to draw from. Let's see how the writers deal with it, and go from there. I'm more than willing to watch that show and come back and talk about the differences between the two, and see how that goes from there.
Yeah, maybe we could do a follow-up episode, or maybe we'll do like a stream or something. Yeah, we could definitely do, because I would like to see how these two differ, how the book and the new show will differ. Yeah, I'm super interested. I'll be reviewing it for Multiversity Comics, so you guys can check out my words on and my thoughts on the show every I think Monday.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think would you recommend this book to anybody?
No.
No, not even a little bit.
Not even for learning purposes, like how not to tell a story. Like why would you do that? You know, it's like, as you can tell, I don't want to be negative about it, but I wasn't interested enough I didn't find enough good about it to be excited about it. So I'm not going to put anybody else through that.
Gotcha. I already recommended the book for many people just so that they can participate in the episode. Hi guys, if you're listening, thank you for listening. So I'll say I don't know. I like to promote books with black leads. So I'll say on that note, I would say yes, at least give it a reason. Don't get the whole volume. Maybe just buy an issue and see if you like it. But yeah, there's not a whole lot about the book that I can point to and say I had a whole lot of fun reading it. And maybe it could just be our cup of tea. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
But there are a whole bunch of other books that we have lined up to read and review, and this is just the first one. Maybe it wasn't the most positive first episode, but it certainly will be, you know, the most honest. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all we got for you today. Dan, where can they find you on socials?
You can find me at _basement_monster on Instagram. You can also find me at thebasementmonster.com. You can find me on Amazon through my books, The Cargo Prince, which I wrote and illustrated myself, and then The Masquerade Dance, which I illustrated for the lovely Carol Oatley from Caribbean Reads. So yeah.
You can find us on superblack.org on Instagram and Twitter. You can get the podcast on Spotify, on iTunes, on TuneIn, and Google. I think Google Play still has it, but I haven't checked Google Play in a while. But tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your grandmother. Pay attention to our Instagram where we will announce the book. You can pick it up with an affiliate link on our website and then participate in the show. Maybe we'll have some call-ins. If you have any questions or you want to comment on the book, you can reach us on Twitter and on the book post on Instagram. That's all, folks. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Take care, guys.
Full stop.